Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm from North Carolina, and I wanted to discuss meningiomas with you. I am not a doctor, and I am not able to provide you any medical advice. I am just simply here to share my experience with you. Maybe you've been recently diagnosed with a meningioma or have lived with a meningioma for a while. Um, I think that either situation could benefit from another person just explaining what they've been through, and maybe you suspect that you have a meningioma or a brain tumor. um, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but it is good to listen to another person, and I found comfort in that when I was diagnosed. I was diagnosed in 2010. I was 27 years old, and I began to notice that my vision was changing. Um, I would actually almost go blind in one eye at night. Like, I could only see a little bit of light in that eye. And I also noticed that when I would watch television or try to read something, that it just didn't line up. It looked like sort of doubled, or it just didn't line up correctly. And so that kind of scared me. And then suddenly my right eye, began to droop a little bit, and it had an appearance like I had an allergic reaction. Not a severe one, but just it looked puffy. It just didn't look right. So I went to my regular doctor, and he prescribed me some allergy medication to take. That obviously didn't help because it wasn't allergies, unfortunately. So then I went to the optometrist, and she did an examination, and she said that it was not normal, and she didn't know what it was, but she would refer me to an ophthalmologist. And so I went to the ophthalmologist, and she examined me, and she sent me for a CT scan and an MRI. Um, then she contacted me that next Monday. I had those tests done on a Friday. And so it really didn't take her long to get back with me on it. And she actually told me over the phone that I had a brain tumor, which to me is unprofessional, but nevertheless, that's how I found out. And that just changed my life. That changed everything. And she made it sound so simple that they would just go in and just take it out, and it wouldn't be no big deal. And then I'd get my vision back and everything. So she referred me to a neurosurgeon. And at this point in my life, I had never had any kind of surgery. So I was afraid of that, probably more than anything at that point, because I had never even had surgery, and now I'm going to have brain surgery, you know. So I went to this doctor, and I he examined me, and he made it sound super easy, just like she did. And he then said, "Well, I'm probably not going to do this surgery by myself. There's another surgeon I want you to meet, and he's just a fantastic surgeon." And I was like, okay, well, this doesn't sound right, but all right. So I go and I meet with this fantastic brain surgeon who was world renowned, had done over 20,000 brain surgeries, and he even developed his own tools to do it. So if I were going to have surgery, he was definitely the man that you're going to want to cut your head open. So I go and see him, and he told me that out of all the brain surgeries, that he had done, he had only seen maybe 100 people with the tumor that I had in the location it was, and that out of that 100, there was probably 10 people in the world who he had operated on that were my age. So having a meningioma in your 20s is not common. Even though the meningioma is probably the most common brain tumor to have, and most people that have those tumors don't even know they have them. They're just growing, and they grow so slowly that most of the time you don't even know they're there. They don't bother nothing. They're considered benign because they're not cancer. But in my opinion, they're not benign if they're causing you problems. Obviously, they're not going to spread and engulf your brain, and you're going to die or anything. But it's still there. It's still in your brain, and so anyway, he told me the position of the cavernous sinus because, like most people, I don't know that much about the brain and the regions and everything. I mean, I know, the big brain is your personality and stuff, and your little brain is the important one in the central nervous system. But he was telling me that the tumor was pressing on my carotid artery, and that it was causing partial paralysis in my third and fourth cranial nerve, and those control the eye function, and that controls your blinking, the dilation of your eyes, the movement of your eye, so that's what it was doing, was causing those problems, and he's was concerned that if the tumor grew, that I could go deaf, or it could affect the other eye, which, or if it grew backwards, it could really, really affect other things. At the time, it wasn't that big either. It was probably about the size of a grape, which isn't really that significant if you think about it, but it's in your head. There's been people that have a lot bigger brain tumors than that, some size of baseballs, but the location of mine is what made it so difficult. And he said that there was a significant increase in death, or increase in chance of death, to have this procedure done, and that he told me that he would go in and he would cut it out, what he could, and what was left, I could have stereotactic radiation, like CyberKnife or Gamma Knife, and it was all going to be fine, and I would probably just lose the feeling in that side of my face, and my eye would probably be shut, most likely permanently, and then I would just have to have plastic surgery to correct the problem. And I don't know about you, but that just seemed like an awful lot to have to deal with. And so I become even more overwhelmed with the situation. And I decided that I needed another opinion. And in a non-professional medical way, I would suggest people getting a second opinion about anything. If because doctors make mistakes. They're humans, just like us. And, they make mistakes, just like the neurosurgeon that I saw first. He actually misdiagnosed my brain tumor in its location. That doesn't make him a bad doctor. It makes him human, So, I would suggest getting a second opinion. I wasn't going to accept that. And so I did, and I ended up going to UNC Chapel Hill, and They actually reviewed my case. I met with a oncologist and a radiation oncologist, and they had a tumor board where they would review people's scans, talk about the cases that they had, and the best forms of treatment. And they felt that because of where my tumor was located, that I wasn't really a good candidate for the cyberknife therapy or the gamma knife. That I was actually a better candidate for just low dose radiation. So I had to go through quite a few more MRIs and a couple CT scans and some x-rays, and I finally started through my treatment in October. I was diagnosed in May that year, and I actually started the treatment in October, and that lasted, I think, about 5 or 6 weeks, and I had 5 treatments a week, and the whole treatment probably lasted maybe 15 minutes at the most. They had like about 4 or 5 different positions that they would shoot the radiation in. Sorry, I don't have the correct terms, but that's what they did. And after a while, I started getting extremely fatigued, just really, really tired all the time. And by the end of my radiation, I was sleeping most of the time. And I don't know if that's the case for everybody. I mean, I don't know. That's just my experience. And my experience as well is I actually lost a little bit of weight, which didn't hurt me because I'm a big girl. So that was okay. But one of the things that I would like to express to you is that, because it is a life-changing event to find out that you have a brain tumor, you should talk to someone. It's okay to seek therapy or talk to a counselor, because it is such a scary thing, to find out that you have that. It is scary, and there's nothing wrong with talking to a doctor. And I did. I went on an antidepressant because I just got to the point where I didn't want to get out of bed. I just was afraid to even get out of bed. And any kind of weird feeling I had in my head, I thought it was a brain tumor, but it really wasn't. It was probably just the nerve or something, I guess. But I was always just really, nervous and scared. And over the years that's changed, because it's been 10 years, and I don't think about it that often, and I still have trouble with my eyes. Thankfully, thank God that my right eye did quit drooping, and upon appearance, initially it looks pretty normal. The only thing that isn't normal is that my eyes don't move together, and they, in different positions, I do have double vision, and I get mine followed up on about every 5 years, 3 to 5 years. So I'm not due for another checkup for a while. And the last scans that I had, the tumor had actually appeared to get thinner. It looked like it was a little smaller, but that wasn't the goal of the radiation. The goal of the radiation was to actually just prevent it from growing. So it was successful. But that was my experience, and I may make another video and talk about what it's like to go through a radiation treatment, and maybe some helpful tips of things I found while I was going through those treatments, and just dealing with it in general. Life's hard enough. Dealing with a brain tumor on top of it, it's just hard. Makes it even harder sometimes. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this recording, and I hope that maybe it's given you some peace about this